Welcome to the Business Happy Hour radio show with your host, Frank the Bank Cotto, president of Lincoln Lending Group and 813 Mortgage for 20 years right here in Tampa Bay. Joined by his incredible co-hosts, Rosa Vahidi and Senia Akishina, top producing real estate agents with Mahara and Associates. These three bring nearly 5 decades of experience in the local real estate market. If you're looking for real estate or business advice, no matter what your experience level, the Business Happy Hour team has been there for you for almost a decade right here on News Radio WFLA. Now sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious real estate and business talk with 3 of Tampa Bay's top experts. Here's Frank the Bank.
Hey, Tampa Bay. This is Frank the Bank Cotto, owner of Lincoln Lending Group and 813mortgage.com. Welcome to the Business Happy Hour, your number one show for all things business and entrepreneurial. Sorry, I'm trying to join my Instagram live with Rosa Vahidi right here of Mahara and Associates. How you doing, Rosa?
So good. How's everyone?
Doing good. I got to turn down my volume. Sorry, I'm over here
same.
making everybody hear me 4 and 5 times, which I know you guys want to hear Frank the Bank 4 and 5 times every single morning. Oh, man. So on studio today with Senia Akishina. How we doing, Senia?
Hello. Doing well.
Yeah.
Loving this weather.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't it so nice every morning? Like, I don't know about y'all. Do you ever have coffee outside? Do you ever go out?
I mean, in this weather, it's hard not to. No, I
would
do.
love to.
Rosa, why do you not have coffee outside?
Well, because I have a porch at my other property. I'm just remodeling it still. So when I'm done, I'll have that
Rosa,
coffee.
very important question.
Yes.
Are you still sleeping on an air mattress?
I am.
Rosa! Do you have to pump it up every night?
No, because it's like a custom advanced one.
Oh, fancy air mattress.
Oh, where do we get one of those?
Amazon. And it even has the built-in thing, the blow-up thing.
Oh, you just push the button?
So I just plug it in. I don't have to actually put it.
You sure you didn't get that from Target?
No, it was from Amazon. I think it was like $150. And then I looked at mattresses 2 days ago. I could have gotten a mattress for the same price.
I know you could have.
But I'm moving it around.
Yeah,
room
now
to
she's
room.
like, who needs a real mattress?
Yeah.
I love my air mattress so much.
So when you bring gentlemen back, they like, so
I don't
Rosa.
think anyone wants to come jump on my air mattress.
That's what
Maybe, but
you never know. Listeners, here you go. Rosa is interviewing right now.
I'm accepting applications.
She is accepting applications. Oh, my God. So I don't know why we're talking about a business happy hour about air mattresses, but I just remember her saying that like a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I wonder if she's still on an air mattress. You know, it's acceptable during hurricane times.
Yeah. It's
totally.
I'm making it acceptable at any point.
Yes. So
my
speaking
life.
of hurricanes, we're going to have a great guest on today. We're going to have Nick from Erb Young Insurance. He's going to actually call in.
Nice.
I don't think have we ever done a call in together?
No, this is exciting.
I didn't know that was a thing here, so I'm excited.
So we're going to do a call in. Nick from Erb Young. We're going to ask him. I'm sure you ladies have some insurance questions. I've got some insurance questions.
I'm thinking we're going to have so many, we're probably going to run out of time before we can even hit half of them. So.
We're gonna let him say hi. He's gonna call in about 6 or 7 minutes, and so it might be like in our second segment. We'll probably bring Nick on, and then we'll just let him hang out with us a little bit. He can answer some questions. We do a lot of insurance with him, and he's a pretty good guy. I like Nick. He's a good guy. He's like 7 feet tall, 250 pounds. Like the dude's like a linebacker.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I think bigger than a linebacker. I don't know.
Too bad he's not in studio. I want to see this 7-foot tall man.
Yeah, can he send us a picture?
Yes, I'll make him do that, actually. Full disclosure, he didn't come today because he is coming to our pro event on Thursday. So if you are a local real estate agent, now, mind you, if you're listening on Sunday morning, I'm not talking about this Thursday, all right? I'm talking about if you're watching Instagram right now or Facebook. On Thursday at Pro from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, Lincoln Lending Group is hosting a big lunch and learn. Are you ladies going to make it to that? I wonder.
I am so busy on Thursday. What time is it again?
12 to 2.
12 to 2.
Don't you have to eat, Rosa?
I have a training.
Oh, my gosh.
I would love to come,
It's
though.
okay.
I'm
You've been
doing
to
my
one
best.
before.
Yes,
You're okay.
yeah.
We're just going to
And
talk
it's
hurricane stuff.
October 24th, this
Yes.
Thursday, 12 to 2 at Pro.
At Pro, Pinellas
There you
Realtor
go.
Organization. Technically, you're supposed to register, so I'd really like it if you go to my Facebook or Instagram page and actually click the link and register, mainly because I need to know how many tacos to buy. But, if you don't register and you show up, I'm not kicking you out. Cindy is going to be the bouncer, and she's very, very nice. You slip her a 5, you're getting in, I promise.
And you can use Nick as backup.
5.
Right. All right,
Yeah,
fine.
like
100. Oh, my gosh. I don't think we're going to have time for it, but on this, if we ever have time, because your comment right there was so perfect. There is a story from my bachelor party from Las Vegas. Okay, this is going back a long time, where you know who Pamela Anderson is?
Yes.
Well, she was there. right, at the Pussycat Dolls Theater at Caesar's Palace. Actually, shoot, I'll just tell it real quick. I've already started. And she came down on a swing, right? Like in this big debut.
Like the real Pam Anderson, not like the impersonator.
Real. So the night before, we were supposed to have VIP in this club, and they screwed something up, and we didn't get it. So they thanked us by giving us free tickets to this Pamela Anderson thing. And so all my buddies and everybody are standing around the station. Here she comes on a swing, and swinging whatever music's on, and like some of her friends were standing right there next to where my guys were standing, and one of her friends takes a 20 and kind of puts in like in a little strap thing or whatever. And this is not a kid-friendly story. And children, turn off the radio right now. And she looks down at the 20 and like makes like the comment like you just made, like a 20. You know? My best man Tony, if you're listening, before she could get the words 20 out of her mouth, had 100 and slid it right there. And she looks at him and goes, "That's what I'm talking about." And here's the best part: this was back before cell phones, like not cell phones. Sorry, it sounds terrible, but before like people used them to take pictures all the time. Mm-hmm. And so there was websites where they called like Club Pics and things like that. And there would be photographers in these places taking pictures. There is a picture. I can get it for you and show you of Tony doing this. Here's the craziest part. Nick Lachey standing next to him. Oh, yeah. Robin Leach. Do you know who Robin Leach is from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? You definitely wouldn't know.
I think I know who it is.
Right? He's like, "Oh, I'm Robin Leach for Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous." That's probably more like Crocodile Dundee. But anyway, yeah, it's hilarious. So that went down in history. So I'm sorry. That comment I had to deviate because I'm like, that's exactly what Pamela Anderson said.
So you got to find this picture and post it on the Facebook so we can all see it.
All right. I'll get on here and tell Tony. Hey, I need the picture of Pamela Anderson at my bachelor party ASAP. We're talking about it on the air. Okay, there we go. Now we got to get back to work. So Nick is holding. We're gonna. I think James, you want to just tell him we're gonna bring him in on the second segment. We'll finish out this segment and get him on. Oh, good. Hi, Nick. And Senia, I know it's been a little wild here recently. Did we do any stats for this? I'm worried about what they're going to show.
I think we skipped them last week.
Yeah.
And honestly, I did check today. The September stats aren't out yet.
Okay.
But I'll be honest, I just don't know how relevant they're going to be because these hurricanes, this is going to cause, I think, some changes in our market.
Disruption?
Maybe? A little disruption, yeah.
I know Ray, by the way, Senia and Rose are both with Ray Mahar and Associates. Ray has his finger on the pulse right now because him and I are texting here and there. He knows some things out on the beach, and it's kind of weird, right? Because I've heard some really bad stories about people going up and down the street with contractors and literally trying to buy people's homes and kind of, in my opinion, take advantage, right? Yeah. Not the time, right, to do this. But Ray has had a lot of people reach out to him that are in a bind, and they're like, "Hey, listen, I can't repair the house. I didn't have insurance." Something like that, which we're going to talk about today with Nick. And people are offering these deals, so they're out there. So I think it's going to be weird. There's going to be this flux, right? How are y'all feeling? How was this week?
We definitely are, and I think if you are trying to sell your home,
right?
For one, even just comping out your property. It's not going to be listed as a distressed home, but you're going to have to read those descriptions and see, hey, this other home in my neighborhood, listed for so-and-so, see what kind of damage it is. And I think just for values, it's going to play a part in it.
Okay, so that's a great point. If the listeners, if you're not understanding what Senia was just saying, it's that, and when you do an appraisal, they look at sales usually in the last 3 months, and they try to get sales as close as possible. So the comps are going to be very weird. Because you don't know. What if this guy had a tree fall in his house and this guy had flood water in his house?
So we need to understand what those adjustments are for each case by
and
case.
Even if you're looking at a comp that sold, a month and a half ago before the hurricanes,
right?
I don't know how relevant that's going to be now because things are going to shift.
I think we're going to have the responsibility to, it's going to be more work on the appraisers and the realtors, unfortunately, is to know the comps. So, and if I was you two, I would be looking at pre-hurricane comps to get a better understanding, but then sales afterwards, it's like a whole new market, right? Do you think people are scared? Do you think are we losing some buyers right now?
I'm having people still wanting to buy, families wanting to buy homes and put in the sweat equity because they're like, great, we can afford this and we can be on the water now and we're okay with the flooding.
I love her positive attitude.
Those are the great people, but no, there are going to be people that are going to hesitate. I think some people are going to hesitate about moving here in general.
Yeah.
It's a really big storm for us.
It was. Well, the good news is statistically speaking, you got 120 years, guys, or something like that. You got 100 years before it's going to happen again.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's do it like this. But to Rosa's point, there's a lot of people that are seeing, anytime there's something bad, there's opportunity, right?
Yes.
And people are seeing it. And so the questions that we've been getting this week, literally walking into the studio today, I had this question. It was a lady called and she said, what do I do? She's like, I love this house. It was damaged. Seller's not going to fix it. How do I buy it? And there is one answer to that question. It is a renovation loan. Right. And I'm going to explain in 20 seconds how that works. And hopefully, I've told you two before how it
We
works.
talked about it last week.
Just
last week's
add
show.
the price of the repairs to the price of the house.
Simple.
And then put your down payment down. That's it.
Wow.
Right. And it's so easy. But everybody thinks it's complicated. Right. So
we're here to make it not so complicated.
Exactly. And, I love Rosa's positive attitude. Like there's good deals out there. It's going to be good for people. And if they need help, there's help out there.
Yep. And how much time do we have?
A minute 20. Go.
Oh, okay. Another thing I heard recently is someone was talking about buying. Right now is a good time to buy, not because of the storms, but because of the interest rates, because a lot of people aren't buying. So the investors are buying right now. So it's a good time to actually buy, because once the rates might drop a little bit, then we'll see more activity and those investors might be selling to those people and marking it up a little bit. So I still think it is a good time to buy.
I always think, what do you think, Sonia?
I agree. And for those people that do want a fixed up home, there's probably going to be a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
Homeowners that don't want to put in the money, don't have the resources or whatnot, and they just want to be done with it. There's going to be investors buying it up, putting on, all the latest touches, and
I agree.
There'll be some good buys.
So not to talk doom and gloom, I do want to ask you all a question, but we're going to save it for the next segment when we bring Nick on. I want to talk about force majeure. Because I don't think we really touched that last week, only for a second. And I think a lot of people who are in contract right now need some advice. So I want to ask the two of you as a licensed experts on real estate. But now I lost track of what I was going to say before. Anyway, great deals, great time to buy. Don't hesitate. You got to go to therealdealtampa.com. That's it, realdealtampa.com. If you're interested in finding the house, Rosa and Senia will find that for you. And, of course, contact frankthebank.com. We'll be back in just a minute with Nick from Erb Young Insurance. Let's do it. So force majeure keeps it like there sadly are a lot of jerks right now for Instagrammers. And are you running into it? Like we've had.
Well, I have a listing now. We're supposed to close Friday.
Okay.
But the lender did send out, their inspection person to kind of check out the property before closing.
Okay.
And there are some missing shingles. So they're like, listen, we're not going to close unless you guys patch up the roof.
Right.
So if my seller wants to sell it and close on it, they either have to patch it up, or if they don't, then, buyer could essentially.
Yeah.
Now we're back with some serious real estate and business talk with three of Tampa Bay's top experts. Your host of the Business Happy Hour, Frank the Bank Cotto, Rosa Fahidi, and Senia Akishna.
Welcome back to the Business Happy Hour, friends. This is Frank the Bank Cotto. Like and share. Find me on Instagram. That's what I like to do these days. Much to the chagrin of my wife. She's like, why do you have to do the Instagram stuff all the time? Does your husband do that to you?
I don't think he watches, no.
Well, I shared our stats with you guys. The consistency is paying off. Like each time
really
we're gaining more and more traction.
I didn't see that. I'm a terrible co-host.
Oh, but you know what?
I
He
shared
did,
it
though.
with you.
And I didn't ask him, sorry. But I think he saw you at Ace Hardware
Who did? Your husband?
the other day. Yeah.
Oh,
Because we go to that same one. Because
the
you're
one on Gun Highway?
Yeah.
I'm always like in and out of there in like 30
Okay.
seconds.
I'm sure it was Frank, but I
probably
think
was.
the only reason is because he hasn't met you is because he sees you on Instagram. So
Tell him to say hi to me. You should have been like, Frank the Bank. What's
he
up?
kept asking me. He's like, "Did you ask him? Was it him? Was it him?" I'm like, I'll ask on the show.
It was me. I was at Ace Hardware twice over the last couple of days. So
Okay.
that definitely, I was there yesterday morning. Maybe that's when it was. But anyway, so we're going to bring on Nick here in just a second from Erb Young Insurance. Actually, I'll do it. Nick, can you hear us? Are you there?
Oh, I'm here, baby.
Nick, how we doing, brother? How are you?
Hey, I am doing as well as we can be. I am, recovering like everybody else from the storm and helping out anywhere I can.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just thought about for our Instagram users, they
I know.
can't. Oh, look at Rosa.
But my thing's off. So
Wait a minute. How does that work? It might work. Just put them on there.
Here,
Oh, you put
turn
'em-
your mic and I'll
What
turn
do I
mine
do?
on.
Turn my mic off? Sorry, Nick. We're figuring this out here real quick.
Okay, now mine's on.
Okay. Let's see.
Get creative here.
I think
We'll
it's
put the headphones on.
I think it's working. Yeah, so Rosa just put her headphones on her phone so everybody on Instagram can listen to you. But Nick, thank you for taking the time to come and listen and be on the Business Happy Hour with Rosa and Senny and myself. Nick is with Erb Young Insurance, like I was saying. I think we've worked with you guys for like 5 years or something. It's been a long time, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's coming up. I think it's about 5 years now.
Yeah. So we Rosa and Senny are both licensed real estate agents, and obviously you know that I own Lincoln Lending Group. We probably like to have a little bit of an insurance discussion today and ask you some questions. We're hearing all kinds of crazy things, and while we have you on, we're gonna talk about force majeure as well. Actually, let me get into that right now because Senny and I kind of left off on it, and then I'd like you to kind of give us a bit of a status on the insurance industry. Like, some of the questions we want to ask you are like, how is this storm going to affect things? Are prices going to go up now, or is it making things harder? But before we do that, Cynthia, you were telling me in the break, you've got a deal going right now, and are you having issues with sellers or listing agents or anything regarding force majeure and getting the time you need for these inspections and the delays? Because it's not just the house inspections; it's just underwriting in general. Like, you think about it. We were shut down 2 weeks solid out of October. Some people 3 weeks or longer.
Yeah.
What do you see?
The issues I'm having is actually getting the workers needed to. So I have a roof issue, which the lender said, hey, we sent a guy out there. He said there's some missing shingles.
Right.
You guys need to patch it up for us to close. And trying to get a roofer right now. I mean, they're all so busy. And I'm sure Nick is super busy. I'm thinking out of everybody, insurance guys are probably slammed.
Are you getting blown up, Nick? Is it crazy out there?
Yeah, we are. And, it's really about just guiding your client, who to call, hold their hand through the claim if they want to. But it's pretty much on the front end, just making sure that they have the coverage, figuring out if filing a claim is the right thing to do. Going over the deductibles and things like that and assessing the damage. But, we got hit with a unique situation because it was boom, Helene with the flood, and that was all flood claims. And then, this big storm came, and that was a lot of wind damage in St. Pete. And I think Matt was telling me that I think St. Pete recorded like some of the highest winds through the whole storm. So, we're definitely very busy. And just kind of educating the clients on who to call and kind of holding their hand through that process. It is a catastrophic event, so a lot of times insurance companies are a little bit more lenient when it comes to filing a claim. I know back, before when you shop insurance, if you have some claims, it could really hurt your insurance score.
Right.
This won't really do that because it is a catastrophic claim or catastrophic scenario. So they are a little bit more lenient where if you go to buy a new home, and you come up and you have a couple claims and one is a catastrophic claim, they tend to turn the other way or kind of pass that one by.
Nick, that was actually going to be one of my questions. Like, what classifies like a catastrophic event for insurance purposes?
Yeah, something like this. If a hurricane really hits you, there's not like I don't think there's like a monetary measurement for like how many homes get hit with it or how much insurance pays out. It's just, I don't even, that's a very good question, is like what categorizes classifies as a catastrophic claim. But I think it's just like when a hurricane hits a community or hits the state and it's just, obviously it's bad. This isn't a situation where a hurricane just brushed by and it's people are filing claims, months down the road and they're just trying to get a new roof because the roof is extremely old anyway. So they can kind of really, they can kind of tell what's from the storm and, what's not. And I think what I'm trying to get at is now when adjusters come out and they look at homes and everything like that, they kind of are a little bit more, their guard's a little bit more down. And they're like, they feel for the client, and which is kind of rare. I know everyone thinks insurance is all bad, but it can be scary. But when you get that claims check, it makes things a little bit better.
I think my guess, Senia, would be it's when there is something on our side, especially for like the FHA 203H program, if it's considered a federally declared, presidentially declared disaster area. I think when the feds get in and say, yeah, this is a disaster area, I'm pretty sure that's like the rubber stamp. that we're looking for.
But for like a claim, I mean, I'm guessing if your house value is worth, 500,000 and say your damage is, 200,000, I didn't know if there was like a number, like a threshold. If you just need a new roof, because that's, you're
Well,
missing some
I
shingles
definitely
and it's
want
old.
him. We have a little bit of time before the break. So when we get back from the break, definitely want him to go into detail on flood versus regular. And I don't know if we call it wind versus flood or whatever, but there's a significant difference in the deductibles and how these are handled. But I will mention this because I love that Nick said that the insurance adjusters are more lenient, because it's always been my opinion, and Nick, we can pick this up when we get back as well, but it's always been my opinion that you want to hire an independent adjuster. However, my agent on a policy that I have on my house told me, he goes, I'm sorry, it's not Nick, but he says, it's old policy. And he said, no, he goes, go with the insurance company adjuster. He goes, they are working with people and being more lenient. So what Nick said, I think is 1,000% true. He's like, they'll scrutinize you more if you get the independent one. Anyway, we'll save that for when we get back. The Real Deal Tampa.com. Oh man, I love how we did that. Contact Frank the Bank, Reverse Guru, all kinds of websites. Like and share us on Instagram and Facebook. We love checking it out. Every Tuesday, we will be live for you right here on Instagram. We'll be back in just a minute with Nick from Erb Young. Go right back in, man.
Welcome to the Business Happy Hour radio show with your host, Frank the Bank Cotto, president of Lincoln Lending Group and 813 Mortgage for 20 years right here in Tampa Bay. Joined by his incredible co-host, Rosa Vahidi and Senia Akishina, top producing real estate agents with Mahara and Associates. These three bring nearly 5 decades of experience in the local real estate market. If you're looking for real estate or business advice, no matter what your experience level, the Business Happy Hour team has been there for you for almost a decade right here on News Radio WFLA. Now sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious real estate and business talk with 3 of Tampa Bay's top experts. Here's Frank the Bank.
Tampa Bay, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour, your number one show for all things business and entrepreneurial stuff. Losing my mind. I found the picture, by the way. I just showed the girls during the break. It is real. This disclaimer, I'm going to show it on Instagram. Total disclaimer. If there's children watching, it's really not bad. But there you go. I was not lying. That is my best man putting a $100 bill in Pamela Anderson's bikini.
And that does look like the real Pam Anderson, not the impersonator.
Oh no, that was the real Pam Anderson for sure. Totally amazing. Just the fact that like cell phones didn't exist, but that picture was taken. Well, not exist, but you know what I'm saying. Like, by the way, you see the new Apple? It's like they have a new camera button now. That's the new feature. Basically, we're buying cameras that we can call people on. That is like what I figured out with these phones, right? Like every time they update, it's like, it's a badass camera. And I'm like, it's a phone. Anyway, yeah. So we got Nick from Erb Young. Senia had some questions. I do want him to talk about flood versus wind, but let's go back to what you were talking about in these different policies. What was the questions we were saying?
Well, yeah, I just wasn't sure like what classifies something as a catastrophic claim. I wasn't sure if it was related to like just the value or, how much damage versus, the value of the home.
Yeah, that's right. He was saying that it's so they're being more lenient on it. So if it is catastrophic, that means I think you're kind of telling us, Nick, is that in these major disasters, which we all know that's what this is, they're just going to work with us more. Is that basically the bottom line?
Yep, that's exactly right. And you said something, too, that I wanted to kind of add on to was when you said, you were talking to people and they might think about getting a public adjuster first.
Yes.
Because obviously insurance has a bad rep. So they just want to make sure that they're getting the full value of their of the damage of their home. You know what I mean? So what a lot of people don't know is when you get a public adjuster, and from my experience and from what I know, is that they automatically get 10% of whatever that claims check is going to be. So instead of doing that, instead of giving them 10% off the top automatically, what I think you should do and what I recommend doing and what I recommend my clients is go through the process with the adjuster that the insurance company appoints. And then because, at the end of the day, if he gives you the value that you both agree on, which is sounding like so far that, they're being pretty fair on, then you get to keep all of that money. You don't have to give 10% to anybody. So say that, and then especially when you add a public adjuster in too, the claims process takes twice as long. So instead of maybe 30 days or 45 days to get your check for the claims, it's going to be 4 or 5 months because it's a whole process that they have to drag out. So and then you can always argue it too. You can always get a public adjuster at the end, if you don't agree with it. So
You just
my
answered the
recommendation
question.
is-
That was what I really
Yep.
wanted to know. If you started one way and you disagreed with your insurance company, you can always get a public adjuster, private. I don't know what they really are, but they're independent adjuster, right?
Public adjuster.
Is it really
Yeah.
called
I would say
public?
private,
Yeah.
but it's
I was,
public. Okay.
I was thinking the same thing, Cindy. I was thinking it's private
Maybe-
adjuster,
I
but
feel like I've seen them titled public adjuster, but
Well, Nick would know. He's the insurance guy.
yeah.
But I've never had an insurance claim before, and I didn't realize. So even when this adjuster does come out, that works for the insurance company, the homeowner does participate in the process, and kind of, hey, do you agree with this? Is that
right,
There
Nick?
is some say from the homeowner.
Yeah, so every company is a little bit different how it goes. I know with FEMA and flood, so they've been getting adjusters from all over the state. There have been, because I met a few at some clients' house just to kind of hold their hand through the process. And the one adjuster was from Mississippi, one was from Alabama. They're coming from all over just because there's been so many claims filed. But they all work out a little bit differently. But yeah, so if you just go through the process with them, they're just going to go through the whole house, view everything, and you just kind of have. If you have receipts for things too, that's a huge help because it's an obviously dollar to dollar value. Depending on what your policy says, it could be actually dollar to dollar value, but it really depends on what your policy has. But receipts really help. Because you can just tell the adjuster, these are the things that were in my house. These are the things you can see that are clearly damaged or in a pile on my front lawn right now. But yeah, so I always recommend if you're doing renovations or whatnot, always keep receipts because God forbid, say this hurricane came in a few weeks later and people already repaired their homes from Helene, and and then this next one came. What was the name of it?
Milton.
I already escaped you, the most recent hurricane. But
So talking
yeah,
about
so,
the receipts, Senia, you said you never filed a claim. I had the pleasure of filing a major water loss about 5 years ago, and Nick brought up, it was very interesting, two things. One, and I think you should elaborate on this, Nick, because you touched on it very gently, and I actually have one of our managers at our office had a loss from the first hurricane, and they chose to do, and Nick, help me with this, actual value versus replacement cost value on her contents. Am I saying that right? And so what happened was,
Yep.
when they went in to pay them, which it was obviously a loss, there was 3 feet of water in their house, right? It's not like you're disputing that. Literally, they gave them what's called the depreciated value for all of our furniture, computers, everything. So, what's a used couch worth? What's an air mattress worth? A used air mattress. Well, we know they're new at 150.
I would say maybe 50. I could
Yeah,
get
she'll sell it for 50. You heard it here today on the Business Happy Hour. $50 used
It'll
air
be
mattress.
for sale soon, I promise.
Signed by Rosa, $250. Anyway, but on a serious note, though, used furniture has no value, right? As compared to the guys who, when I had my claim, I chose to do the more expensive, and I'll let you speak to this in a second. I'll shut up as the mortgage guy. But my personal experience was anything I had receipts for, it was done data. They're yep, okay, here's your receipt for $1,000. You're getting $1,000, right? And when I didn't have receipts, they allowed me to research, to go online and go, find the same item online. Now, it was also important to have pictures. Is that right, Nick? You always want to have pictures of your belongings?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Especially if they floated down the river.
So that's a very important piece of coverage, and it's actually kind of what we will either win business on or lose business on a lot of the times, depending on what other agents are doing. So it's kind of just like how your home is valued, right? So for mortgages, you need your home valued at replacement cost rather than actual cash value, which is just a depreciated value. So same thing with your contents, but this isn't, mortgages don't care about your contents, but it's the same exact type of same coverage. So we always like to add the personal property at replacement cost. So that means if you bought a couch in 2020 for $5,000, if that couch gets damaged in a fire or a covered claim, you'll get the full price for that couch if you have actual cash value, if you have replacement costs on. If it's actual cash value, you would get the depreciated value of that couch for 5 years or 4 years. So you might only get $1,500, depending on what the adjuster says and what they come to. So
Because of the
you know,
depreciation.
and that's
Is that
So my
Rosa
next-
was saying? Is that
so my-
that's
so
that's
my point-
because the property is because it's worth less because it depreciates over time? Is that the way you're explaining it?
exactly, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So what is the value of a 4-year-old couch?
If it's in my
So
house,
you-
nothing.
That's why it's important, and it's usually around. It's not like an exact monetary value on the policy,
Right.
but it's a certain percent of the premium. So the higher the premium, it's obviously the higher the price it's going to be to keep the replacement costs on your contents. But some people obviously they want to stretch the dollar as much as they can. So if they find that they don't really have that much stuff, or they find that they don't really have nice, care about their things, and they want it to save like the extra $400, maybe $500 for the year, that's also fine too. So it's funny. We also we'll get when people shop around their insurance, they'll probably receive 2 exact quotes from 2 different agents. And the only thing different is one agent will put the personal property replacement cost on, and one will remove it. And usually the client will go with just a cheaper option, not knowing why it's cheaper.
Right.
So that's a very good question, and it's like a very kind of a big piece of how most agents win or lose business.
I think if all of you are listening right now, if you check on anything on your insurance, I think you should be checking on the replacement cost factor of your contents. Because let's be real. I mean, most things don't blow your house away, right? They don't ruin the structure of your house necessarily, maybe the flood stuff, but your contents always gets damaged. Like in that flood, on that water claim I had from a broken pipe, it wrecked so much stuff. It was ridiculous. It was raining in my garage. It destroyed my wife's car, almost destroyed another car, and I don't think they're considered couches. But the contents, because we had all this stuff stored in the attic, was unbelievable. So thank God we had that. I mean, it was a difference between literally us getting a $4,000 check and a $40,000 check.
Wow.
And what did it cost? $500. Now, we'll say from a mortgage standpoint, that is a trick that we use. I don't know if you ladies,
I know exactly what
Rosa
we're
knows the
talking about.
trick now. It's like, if the person's debt ratio is off, then lowering their interest rate or putting down an extra $10,000. I don't know if people know, but it's about $5 per thousand when you put money down. It doesn't make a big difference. You got to put down $50,000 to make a $500 difference in a mortgage payment, or actually way more than that. No, that's about right. But $10,000 gives you like a $50 difference, right? It's like nothing. So it's much better. You can just lower the insurance. You can switch it over, call Nick and be like, all right, take away the replacement costs on the contents. It saves them $50 a month. You
And then-
close, and then
After you close, then you call Nick back up or your insurance agent, and you put that back on.
nailed it. That's a great
Right?
post, actually.
Yeah.
Is that
Frank
illegal?
is really like hitting it hard with these videos. I see him every day
Yes,
on
yes.
there.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Like and share. But it's so funny though. That algorithm, to deviate real quick. If you post every day, it is insane.
It's a part of it. If you're a business owner, definitely be posting
Yeah.
every day,
I
and
wouldn't-
ususeful information too. That's valuable to your
Educational.
followers.
Yep. And you do have to put a little fun out there too. You have to throw it out. But I went from 12,000 followers to almost 16,000 followers in less than a year. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just posting.
You're not buying followers.
I did one time 3 years ago.
So that's how you got up to that 12 to start. Maybe.
Hey, we have to take a break on that note. Rosa Vahidi from Mahar and Associates. We'll be back in just a minute with Senia Akishina, Frank Cotto, Frank the Bank. Stay tuned. We'll be back here with Nick and Erb Young as well.
Now we're back with some serious real estate and business talk with 3 of Tampa Bay's top experts. Your host of the Business Happy Hour, Frank the Bank Cotto, Rosa Vahidi, and Senia Akishina.
Troubled it. Hey, Tampa Bay, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour. We are having a great time. I do want to mention really quick, we only have Nick for about 4.5 more minutes, but I do want to mention we have a listener who sent a few questions to us recently, and they wanted us to address, I think it was Steven, is that right? I think.
They didn't share the name in the part that you shared with us.
Okay, I'll have to double check that. But they're asking a couple questions about homestead exemption, and we were talking about that together. That if you own a house and you've had your exemption for many years, and then you sell that house, right, Rosa? And
Yep.
so
and then
what
you
happens?
you pour your homestead over. I didn't fully understand his question. So he was saying if there's a gap in time between when he sold and purchased.
Guys, we didn't discuss this.
Oh,
After the thread, I feel like his question was actually relating to capital gains tax
I think you're right.
and
Yeah.
not the homestead exemption or the
Right.
portability, because he
Right.
sold it and now he's wondering about the 200 to 250,000, which it is 250,000 for a single filer.
Yeah, no, it is. And matter of fact, I tell you what, we're going to table that. We're going to get back to that in about 3.5 minutes because that's all that we can have the caller on with Nick until 1 p.m. What other questions do you have for Nick?
I have a question for
Please.
Nick. So I had a client come to me and they said that they heard if you file 2 claims, flood claims, I believe, or claims on a home, that no longer will that carrier carry insurance for you.
That's a good one. And he touched on that they're being more lenient. We need to know about that, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, so most flood insurance policies in Florida are written through FEMA, but there's like there's companies that you can go through, but they're basically FEMA companies. So sure, that one company might not write with you, might not be able to get a policy through them anymore. You would have to go directly through FEMA. And yes, that's true. I believe if it's 2 policies within a couple years, 2 flood claims within a couple years, that company will eventually drop you or non-renew you depending on when the policy is. And then you just have to call your agent and you have to go. They'll put you directly to FEMA, so you can still get insurance. And those rates are all governed by FEMA, so it's not gonna. They're not going to. They're not like private carriers where they can increase you for filing claims or anything like that. It's just basically whatever your house is, the elevation for that zip code, that area, that's what the premium is going to be.
Okay. Thank
Got
you
it.
for clarifying
If that
that.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah,
figured as
yeah.
much, and I told my clients, I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other insurance carriers that will pick you up in the event that happens.
Yeah. Well, I like that.
Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
not. It's actually just FEMA. So like you would have to basically you're foregoing the middleman, the other insurance companies that you would write through, and the agent has to put you directly through FEMA. Every insurance agent should have like a FEMA flood login, where they can just go and write directly through FEMA. That's what you have to do if there's multiple claims within a year.
Yeah, and I mean, I do understand that they are going to be a little bit more lenient because I was told I had a second water situation within a year of my last one, and my agent was like, "Don't file it." He's like, "You just need to deal with that one." But you're saying because of the disaster, people don't need to worry about that, right? Just file it and get your help.
Correct. Yeah, and a lot of people too. Whenever you call the insurance company and you start that process to file a claim, even if you're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and fix this on my own. I don't want to file the claim. Right when you called, that's a claim that's on your name. So I have one client who was buying a home and he had 3 or 4 claims that were there, and he's like, yeah, but I fixed everything myself. And how these insurance companies view you is they view you as a bad risk for anything that happens. If it's little, if it's small, if it's big, you're going to call the insurance company to file a claim. You're going to try to get the claim right away.
So you're
even
saying
though
don't
he did
call
fix
them?
everything himself,
I mean, if you
yes,
think
correct.
maybe you'll
All
fix it yourself, don't even bother calling the insurance company to talk it over.
correct. So that's why it's important to call your agent, not the insurance company. Call your
Okay.
agent and say, hey,
Call the
Nick,
agent first.
this
Okay,
is
so call
exactly
Nick
what happened.
first.
Hey, Nick, by the way,
Yeah,
what's
call me
your,
first.
before we cut you off, what's your contact info if somebody wants to get in touch with you with? What's the best way to do it?
Yep. So you're going to Nick, N-I-C-K, at Erb and Young, ERBANDYOUNG, Nick at erbandyoung.com. That's going to be the best way to get everything. I work really well with email, but then you can also call me at 727-250-0225, and then my extension is 1003. And yeah, love to help out and answer any questions too, for anyone listening. And yeah, that's why having a good insurance agent is important. And it's funny, it's through a home buying process, you have your realtor, you have your lender, you have title, you have your insurance agent. We're the only person that has a lasting relationship with that client after the deal is done. So that's why it's important to Frank, and why you and I kind of have been such good partners together, is because you get a deal right away and you're like, okay, call Nick, because you can trust us, and that client will then trust us and kind of hold their hand through the process and the whole time they basically own that home.
Yep, and I got to give kudos to Rosa too, because in the last you've kept me on my toes over the last few days.
I've been keeping you busy.
You have been, but it is super important to pedestal our partners, like Nick was saying, and to tell the partners who they are, and allow the people to have trust. Because if they trust one of us, they're going to trust us all, and we truly are all partners. And Nick, we really appreciate what you've done. I know you've been working overtime over there answering these questions. So I want you guys to remember Nick at Erb and Young, ERB and Young.com. is the best way to get them, and God forbid you forget. I'm sure you can go to therealdealtampa.com or you can go to contact Frank the Bank or Reverse Guru, and you fill out the little form, and then I'll get you in touch with Nick, and so will the ladies, and get your questions answered. But is there anything else that we need to hit? We have a minute left here.
Well, if we have a minute for Nick, I'm just curious about the time frames right now. So if I were to file a claim, I haven't done one. We got lucky, but what is that process looking like? So they call you. You do actually have a legit claim that they want to get moving on. How long to get the adjuster out there, and how long is the process normally before somebody gets their check?
Yep, great question. So right after Milton, that's the hurricane that slipped my mind. I can't believe it was so huge. So Hurricane Milton, right after that, everyone was filing claims, and that was about a week for an adjuster to come out there. FEMA flood was a little bit longer, obviously, because they have, they're a national company, so they have they're on a larger scale. So it was usually a week. And then from there, they were promising an advancement check would take about a week after that. And then a final check would be, I think it was like 2 to 3 weeks after that. So all in all,
a lot better
it's
than
about
I anticipated.
2 months. Yes, yeah. It's been all hands on deck, and like everybody really knows that. So, that's what they kind of prepare for in situations like this. Like this area hasn't been hit with a hurricane, 30 years? And we just had 2 back to back. So,
hey, so Nick, thank you for, I hate to cut you off. We got 20 seconds before they're literally cutting us off of the air, and they're going to go to all these other exciting people like Hannity and Limbaugh and things like that right here. That's right. He's dead. Sorry. Right here on iHeartRadio. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Ladies.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much. So you guys are doing a great job, it sounds like. So we appreciate you.
Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe, Florida.
I'm going to take...
Okay. And Nick?